Hello everyone, and welcome to the Anatomy of Knitting, episode 65. My name is Erin, and I'm going to be your host. Today is April 2nd, 2015. It is my older brother's birthday. Happy birthday. And it is a slightly cloudy day. You won't see as much sun reflected in my glasses today. And I'm coming to you from Cork, Ireland. I'm an American expat living here. My husband works for a company, and we got transferred almost a year ago to Ireland from Seattle. You'll probably see one of my co-hosts, feline co-hosts. She's sitting down here looking at me very expectantly, asking me who I am talking to. So let's get started. This might be a moderately long show for you. We'll just have to see. In my show notes, I have This Week in Ravelry, or This Week in Review, not Ravelry. I have a finished object. I have some works in progress. I have a knit-along announcement, and then a new thread open announcement as well. What? Come up here. Come on. Silly goose. So, let's talk about the week in review. There she is. So the last time I spoke to you, I think I was talking about all the driver training that I've had to go through. As part of the driving training, when you get your learner's permit here, you have to have it for 6 months before you're able to sit for your driving test. Now, because I've had a license for about 20 years in the States, I was able to get a driving record from the state of Washington and send it in with my license, my American driver's license, to a department in County Mayo here. It was quite nerve-wracking to be without my driver's license for about a week, but I got it back, and I got the 6-month rule exemption. So I've currently signed up to take my driving test. I'm on the call me if there's a cancellation list, so I don't know when I will have the opportunity to take my driving test, and I can have as little as 10 days notice. To have my driving test, which is a little nerve-wracking. So I need to start studying the. So they have, this is material that the driving instructor gave me. There's all these signs I need to make sure I know. A lot of them are self-explanatory, like most these blue signs. But what does the white circle with a bare, nothing on the inside mean? I know, but do you know? Let's see. Yeah, there's a bunch of other signs. And then there's these signs, and I have to remember how to do hand signals for if there's a police person in front of me that I need to tell, where I need to go. There's all these signs as well. And a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory. So I have to get all of those. And here's a picture of a roundabout and how to enter the roundabout and what lane you should be in. And then there's about 40 questions that they can ask you, and I need to look over those. So that is the update on the driving thing. Ugh. Yes, ma'am. Let's see, what else? I took the boys to Supernova last week. Supernova is one of those indoor playgrounds that I was telling you about. They really enjoyed it, and we went on a big slide all together. And so the videos at the end are going to be mostly from Supernova, so I hope you enjoy those. And then the last bit of news, because we've had a fairly quiet week, the last bit of news is we have booked a couple of our vacations that we've been wanting to take. So part of living in Ireland and Europe mainly is that the vacation allowance that they give you is, or they give my husband, because I don't work, is a total of 4 weeks of paid vacation, which is amazing. I'm used to like just 2 weeks of paid vacation, which is not really enough to recharge the batteries. So we have been talking about what we're going to do with some of those vacations. And so we've booked a couple of them. We are going to be going back to the United States at the end of May. Excuse me. Let me bring up my Google Calendar. So we are going to be flying back on, I believe, the 25th. Yes, the 25th of May. And we're going to be spending about 2 weeks in Portland, Oregon. That's where my family is. That's where we're staying. And then we're going to be coming back on the 9th of June. So that should be fun. Let's see. We have probably a little side trip to Seattle. Oh, excuse me. I need to drink more caffeine. I have my berries tea in my husband's Star Trek mug. It is our most gigantic mug. And that's why I like to use it. I used to have a Jenny the Potter mug that was not this big, but maybe about that big, that I love to use. But I dropped it in the sink and cracked it down one of the sides. And so it just slowly leaked. And so I put it up on the, we have a fireplace mantle over there. I put it up on the mantle so I could still enjoy it. And then my husband knocked it over and completely smashed it. So I know festival season is coming up. If there's anybody out there who would be willing to snag me just one of the general sheep with a yarn ball mug, I would be willing to pay shipping and the cost of the mug and give you some Irish yarn in exchange for that. I would be so grateful because I totally miss that mug. The Star Trek mug is nice, but it's not my thing. And I'm drinking my berries tea. So, anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, vacations. So, we're probably going to have a little side trip to Seattle planned during that time. So we can have some time without the boys. Grammy and Pa and Uncle Dustin are going to be taking care of the boys for us. And I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to go shopping for clothes for the boys because it's, with the exchange rate, the euro is only slightly stronger. But it still is cheaper to buy things in the United States. Scout. She's ripping at the carpet. Scout! Anyway. But when we're in Portland, I'm going to be planning on going to Fabric Depot, which is a big, huge warehouse fabric store. And mostly to purchase fabric for our Halloween costumes because we'll be here for Halloween. And I have had the most awesome idea for our Halloween costumes this year since probably summer of last year, summer of 2014. And I'm trying to decide if I should tell you all what we're going to be now or not, or wait. I think I'll wait. If you follow me on Pinterest, then you've probably got an idea because I've been pinning a few things for reference so I can make our costumes. But it's going to be so cute. While the boys are still young and I can dictate what they wear, I like to do the big group costumes. So the first Halloween before they turn before, when they were 10 months old, we did, I was Dorothy, my husband was the Cowardly Lion, and the boys were the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. And then last year they were Two Little Sheep, and my husband and I were shepherds, which was fun. And then this year it's gonna be so awesome. I'll just tell you. So this year the boys are going to be Mario and Luigi. I'm going to be Princess Peach, and my husband is going to be Bowser. And Bowser is the big bad of, I think, the first Super Mario Brothers. And he's like he's got the spiky turtle shell on the back, and then I don't know exactly what kind of animal he is. I think I'm going to have to look that up, but he's not really a dragon, but I know he's got like a sort of dragony face looking thing. There's a tutorial to make a nice Bowser shell for a child that I'm going to try and upsize for an adult, so my husband can wear it. So it should be pretty awesome. I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to doing that shopping trip. So that's the first vacation that we're going to use about half of his vacation for. And then in September, we have also booked a vacation to, we're going to take a ferry over to France, ooh la la, and we're going to drive a few hours in France and go to Disneyland Paris. So the boys are going to get to go to Disneyland for the first time, which is pretty exciting. Apparently, when my husband booked the vacation, he called Disney, and interesting enough, I guess when he called up the number, somebody in Orlando, Florida, answered the phone, and that's who. Like, they have people in Orlando that book the vacations for Disneyland Paris, which is pretty funny. But she said that Disneyland Paris is sort of like a mini Disneyland. It's not. Like, don't go expecting Disney World. Kind of think a mini Disney World. So that should be good for the boys' first trip to a Disney park. Is a smaller, less intense version, maybe. We are staying at the Hotel Santa Fe, which has a lot of Cars, the Pixar movie Cars themed stuff in it, and the boys are in a huge, they've been in a huge Cars fan mode, so that should be exciting. Hopefully they'll still be as big of Cars fans as they are now, and will be. I'm not thankful, because it's hard for a 2.5-year-old to be thankful for anything. But hopefully they'll be able to enjoy it. So we'll be at Disney for, I think, 4 days, and then we're going to drive back towards the ferry and then spend a day, I think, in Normandy. My husband wants to go see Normandy and where the beaches where the American landed for World War II. He's a big World War II Band of Brothers kind of history buff, so we'll go do that, and then take a ferry back. And the ferry trips that we're planning on taking are overnight ferries, so we don't have to worry about accommodations for 2 of the nights that we'll be gone, which is good. So yeah, that's a tip for those, I don't know, for those new expats who are living in a place that has a Tesco. We are members of the Tesco club card members. And you scan your card and you get points for things that you buy, and I think it's about every quarter we get coupons for like cash back. So say I spend, I don't know, $2,000 buying groceries for a quarter or something. then they send us, I can't remember, but they'll send you like $20 of coupons that you can use towards your groceries. And they also have another thing that you could use the $20 towards your, when you buy your groceries next time, you just give them the coupon and they scan off, the $20 from your order. Or you can trade that in for a voucher. And I don't remember exactly how much we had in coupons. I think it might have been like $30 or 30 euros of coupons. And somehow my husband traded that in for a voucher worth 100 euro. So we were able to use those coupons that we had earned with the Tesco club card to knock $100 off of our ferry trip, because the ferry lines accept the Tesco vouchers, which is amazing. Just by doing what we do, i.e. shopping at our grocery store, which is, I can seriously see the Tesco from my living room. It's right there. Even though we do our, we didn't change our behavior. We just went to Tesco and did our shopping and then got $100 off of our vacation, or 100 euro. I still do that. I still think in dollars. I still think in imperial measurements. It's hard to go metric for me. Anywho, I am 16 minutes in. I should get to the knitting, because there's a fair amount of knitting that I want to talk about. So, finished objects, you can see it. This is the lovely hopper cardigan with its nice princess seamed cable detail. The buttons that I sewed on last week, and hey, read the directions, because I apparently did not read the directions. And in the directions there's an instruction to put a button up here, which it would have looked weird with the spacing that I did, so I decided to just forego it and deal with the flapping open of the top part of the cardigan. I wasn't motivated enough to rip back the ribbing that I had done up here at the collar to fix it, so I'm just going to live with it. It is sized appropriately. It might be a little big in the shoulders. The things that I've learned from Amy Herzog's Fit to Flatter Craftsy class, I will definitely use for my next cardigan like this. Because you're supposed to fit the shoulders, and then you can use like short rows or bust darts to fit curves that you have. Let's see. The buttons I sewed on during the week, this past week, and I had to bribe myself to do it because I didn't want to sew on the buttons. I did not do a button, I didn't do a grosgrain ribbon, but I'm not having any problems with gapping or stretching, so I'm really pleased with how this cardigan has turned out, and I can't get accurate colors of this yarn to save my life. It's a nice appley green, I'll say. It's this nice tweedy yarn. It's very rustic. There's different flecks of like a jade green, not really a chartreuse green, more like a pale limey green. There's some red and orange. It's just a really nice complex yarn, and I think I have about 2 or 3 skeins left over. So, yeah, I'll have to decide what to do with that. Anything I learned? Let's see. I learned how to drop and fix cables, because it was down lower in the body here, but let's see. Here we go. Everything's all reversed, so I always have to think about it. So I know that with this cable here, further down I had did the cable crossing like 2 rows too early, so I learned how to drop down all of those pattern stitches and then fix it, which was nice to learn. I hadn't done that before, and it's super easy as long as you count down how many rows that you've gone down, and you just keep track of where you need to be when you finish going up. it's pretty easy. And I did it without a crochet hook. I think I just used, I think I just used 2 double-pointed needles. So, excuse me. I've been staring at the back of this book for the past couple of days since I finished it, and I would really like to knit that cowl, I think. It calls for worsted weight yarn, and for something that's going to be around my neck, I would like something soft, and I don't think I have much soft worsted weight yarn. I'll have to look at my stash. This is called the Tanner cowl. And it looks like it's one of those long infinity cowls that they wrap around twice. And this is knitted lace, which is eyelets worked every row, which I don't think I've done. Maybe I have, but I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't look too complicated, the lace chart. Something I can handle. So that's the finished object. And I did not rest on my laurels. I have been knitting a few other things. I think the first thing that I'll show you will be the sock yarn blanket, because that is what you've seen previously. So you'll remember that this bag was filled up with a bunch of yarn. I got through all of the yarn except one skein. I put it in the sock yarn blankets. Again, I don't remember how many squares I had when I spoke to you last, but now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30. I have 30 squares total. I think I was maybe on this one when I spoke to you last, this brown one. So I added in this autumny one, this green one, which looks so blue, but it's not. It's green. I added in a second row, and you'll notice that I'm trying to keep that line of the miter all going in the same direction. This is Sheep Spot, Sustainable Merino Fingering in Gummy Bears. This is some random yarn that I used to make a sweater. I think this is Shibui knits. I don't remember what that is. I think it might be Socks That Rock. More Shibui. Hazel knits. Random sweater yarn. Sweet Georgia. Volmise. Random sweater yarn. So I'm going to do one more square of that one that I haven't used. And then I go back to the big giant bag of scraps. And then I'll just start repeating colors. And again, I am weaving in my ends as I go, so no tangly bits. And this is going to be such an ugly blanket, but I don't care. It's going to be nice and warm. I'm thinking about putting a backing on it when I'm all done, but I don't know. We'll see. It's mostly because I don't like seeing the ends. Let's see, I'm going the wrong way. I don't like seeing the ends woven in there, but whatever. It's a sock yarn blanket. It's the ugly sock yarn blanket of doom. So, 30 squares. Hopefully I'll remember that for next time. And maybe I'll have the whole second row done for you. I don't know. We'll see. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to do about a square a day. When the boys are here during the day and we're not out and about, we, just to kind of break up the day, I let them have some television time. And they've been getting into Thomas the Tank Engine on Netflix. So that's been fun to watch them get into that. But usually while they're watching, I will knit on one of those mitered squares. And they take about, well, depending on if I'm focusing on it, because most of the time when I'm knitting on them, I'm not solely focusing on knitting as fast as I can. I think they take about a half hour to do, to pick up and knit and then weave in the ends. Half hour to 45 minutes, which sounds like a lot of time for just a simple old small mitered square. So that's the sock yarn blankets. The next thing I've been knitting on, my husband, so I have a few things to talk about with this. Well, I'll show you the sock. So remember I told you last week that I wanted to cast on that yarn. It's 2 whole skeins that I had in that sock yarn blanket scrap bag. I don't think I had used this for anything, so I decided to cast on some socks. And these are the Pyroclastic socks. This is a pattern from Knitty. It's an easy, simple lace sock. This is the larger size, which I don't think I needed now that I've knit this far on it. This is from the Winter 2009 Knitty, which I think I told you Knitty, but not Winter 2009. What I originally did is I got on Ravelry and I used the pattern finder, advanced pattern search feature, and I knew I kind of wanted to do some lace socks. So I put in socks and put in lace, but these didn't come up. But I think another pattern from Knitty came up into the search pattern that I used, or the search that I did. So I went on Knitty and I went to their archive and I opened up a page for all of the socks that they have published, and went through all of them and decided on this pair of socks. There were other socks that I liked, I think, better, but they didn't have any. They only, I think it was like one size, or a size that wouldn't fit me. So I just ended up deciding to do these because there were multiple sizes of this, and I knew that one of them would fit me. So if you're new to lace knitting, I would suggest trying this. There's an interesting construction to this sock. It is knit normally, like a tube for the cuff. You do the lace repeat 6 times, which is super simple. I had it memorized after the first lace repeat. Then you do an Eyre partridge heel, which is it's a version of a slip stitch heel where you in the first row you slip normally, and in the second row you alternate which stitch is slipped. So instead of having a line of slip stitches, it's every other stitch is slipped. So it gives you that nice texture instead of the line down. Hopefully you got how I kind of explained that. So this sock also has some arch shaping, which apparently the designer got inspired from Elizabeth Zimmerman. So there's arch shaping, and then the fabric is on the bias. And as I'm doing that, on the front, get my wee one stitch markers out of the way. On the front, you'll see that the lace pattern is being swallowed up by stockinette. So every other row, I'm taking 2 away from that lace pattern. And then at some point soon, these 2 stitch markers will meet, and then I'll just be knitting in stockinette stitch. And I am probably not going to have enough yarn to finish the sock, which I am not upset about. I'll just deal with. I think I will end up using some of this, which is a sort of a buttery yellow, to finish it. It's probably just going to be a toe I'm going to need to finish that with. Although that Sweet Georgia square that I showed you, this one, goes fairly well with that. So I may use that depending on how much I'm going to need. So that's the first sock. I've done most of a sock in a week, along with that sock yarn blanket. And what I'm using to keep track of my increases and decreases is this nice little stitch counter. I think I moved this. No, it's at 15. Okay. This is a stitch counter I got from Simply Knitting, which is a magazine that my husband bought a subscription for me for Christmas. I think I've told you in the past that a lot of the crafting magazines always like to give you a free gift with each magazine that you get. So this was my free gift, I think, for February, which is pretty neat. I usually like to use my phone, but I have a tendency to forget to advance it in my phone because the screen turns off, and then I forget. So it's nice to have something there that always reminds me that, hey, I need to make sure that I click my next row up. So that, oh, and I didn't tell you, but the socks, they're Pyroclastic socks, and that's the name, and Marlowe Crawford is the designer. And again, that's Winter 2009 Nitty pattern. And I'm having fun. Those needles are a little small. They feel a little small to me, and that's the only thing that's made it a little tough to knit. But other than that, it's fine. Next, I am going to show you what's going to be next on the needles. So this is, it looks black, but it's not. It's a very dark green. This is my Volmiza 100% Merino Superwash in the the colorway. I cannot speak German to save my life. So that's the colorway. Let's see. Can I get it to show up any better? Not really. It's just a lovely, lovely dark green. I have a total of 4 skeins of this. I bought this when my husband and I went to Germany about 5 years ago. We went during the Christmas holidays. Yep, that's not really showing up. And we visited the Christmas markets, and then because we were, because we were in Berlin, or not Berlin, but Munich, I knew that the Volmiza store was not very far, probably about a half hour by train. So I said, I demand to go to Pfaffenhofen and go to the Volmiza store. So we did, and I bought a ton, and I shipped most of it home from Pfaffenhofen, and I've been working on that stash ever since. So I have decided to cast on the, oh man, I'm gonna mispronounce it. I know I'm on the spot. Hold on. The Hitofude. Thankfully, Knitty Barb on Ravelry has been contributing to the episode 64 thread, and we've been having a bit of a discussion about this cardigan. Hitofude, which makes complete sense. Hitofude. I think this is what I'm going to knit this yarn into. I knit a swatch yesterday and blocked it. It is dry. It's one good thing about lace and sock yarn is that it dries pretty quickly. So that's my gauge swatch, and it is 4x4, slightly stretched, is how they like to say. Oh, this is funny. This is something I noticed but didn't notice. But there's inch measurements on the bottom of this the counter. Thank you. And this is So the directions of the Hitofude cardigan tell you to block the swatch slightly stretched, which, of course, what does slightly stretched exactly mean? But the swatch that I have, slightly stretched, does measure 4 inches. Oh, I didn't measure the other way. So my row gauge is a little short, but maybe I just didn't stretch it that much. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine. I'm not going to worry about it. Although, with the construction of the garment, I probably should. Anyway, I will figure it out. I have plenty of yarn. Here, I'll hold this at the wall so you can see it. I have plenty of yarn to make this cardigan, and so I've done the gauge swatch. It looks good. And now I need to figure out what size I'm going to make. There's been a few project pages that I favorited that have some suggestions about what size to make. And in the thread that we had for episode 64, there were a couple of people who hadn't knit the Hitofude. So I suggested maybe we do a knit along for it. But then some other people piped up saying, I've done one already. And so I thought, well, why don't we do a sweater knit along, but we'll just make it a spring-summer sweater knit along. So the SSS KAL. The spring-summer sweater knit along. So I'm going to launch that next week. We'll make next Thursday the starting date, which should be the 9th of April. Yes, the 9th of April. We will have that as our starting date for the knit along. And I'm going to have this knit along kind of aim to be a lightweight sweater knit along. So probably, it doesn't have to be a fine gauge, but most lightweight sweaters that I think of are lighter gauge sweaters. But there's not going to be a lot of rules. Basically, knit a sweater, aim to use it in the spring or summer, bam, you're in. And I'm going to have the end of the knit along be the first day of fall, because it's the spring-summer sweater knit along. I'm going to knit the Hitofude, and so most of the suggestions that I'll be giving for the knit along will be for that. However, I was thinking that I would, like next week, I could present suggestions for sweaters that you can knit. Some lighter gauge sweaters, some nice spring and summer sweaters. So we'll play it by ear. I'm going to start a thread for this, and then probably in a few weeks open up a finished object thread for the spring-summer sweater knit along. I'm going to offer some prizes. I was thinking the leftover yarn from this sweater I would offer up as one of the prizes. It is a merino that's been spun here in Ireland. I was thinking of offering up some of my Volmisa as a prize. And then I was probably thinking of contacting some people to see if they'd like to donate prizes. So, that's exciting. And since I'm talking about the SSS KAL, yep, start next podcast through end of summer. That's about all I wrote. I'm not a big stickler with rules, so anything that's a sweater that you'd like to count for the knit along, count for it. If it's something, the spring summer sweater knit along could be a sweater that you want to wear in the fall, so I would count that as well. Basically, knit a sweater, have it done by the first day of fall. Bam, done. There's our knit along. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, because I was really enjoying the thread for episode 64, I figured I'd do there's a lot of podcasts who've been doing an Ask Me Anything thread, which is what it is what it sounds like. I'll start a thread and you can ask me questions about anything. Knitting, living in Ireland, Seattle, anything. Being a nurse, being a mother of twins, all of that. Up for grabs. So I'm going to start that thread as soon as I finish recording. And that's about all I have. And we're about 40 minutes in. The videos I'm going to have at the end with the boys will be from Supernova. So you'll see them riding on the big slide, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's the show. You can find me on Ravelry. I'm Knitting RN there. You can find me on Instagram. I'm EKSRN2002. I post fairly frequently to Instagram. That's my social media of choice. And yeah, so contact me there, or friend me there if you'd like to. I am on Facebook, but I don't do a ton with Facebook. I think that's about it. I'm on Twitter. I'm Knitting RN there, but I don't really do much with Twitter anymore. Yeah, Ravelry. The website for the podcast is theanatomyofknitting.com. I've been uploading the podcast there, so you can watch it there if you'd like. I'm also on YouTube. The Anatomy of Knitting channel is there. And if you have any questions, you can email theanatomyofknitting@gmail.com. And if you're a business that maybe wants to donate a prize to the podcast, let me know. Email me there for the knit along. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I hope you all have an excellent day, and I'm gonna quickly edit this and upload it, and yeah, get sewing, because I have the night sky quilt I've been quilting, and I want to get that done because there's some Easter baskets that I want to make for the boys. So enjoy your tea. I have my berries, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody. Are we ready to go in? More? Whenever you're ready. Come on. Whee! Good job. More? Come on, Nate. Come on, Nate. Come on. Hold on, Malcolm. Whee!